And now I'd like to introduce Shanna Smith. She is the president and CEO of the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Thank you, Sherilyn. I've been doing this work since 1975. Back in the 70s, it was pretty easy to bring a case of housing discrimination because intent was part of almost every case I was ever involved in. Landlords saying to people, to African Americans over the phone, "Are you colored? I don't rent to coloreds." Saying to Latinos, "You don't speak English. I don't want you here." But corporations don't say things like that. Corporations don't write emails saying, "How can we keep kids out of our apartments?" And yet, in Florida, there was a large owner who said 1 heartbeat per bedroom. A race-neutral policy, 1 heartbeat per bedroom. But how does a family, a couple with 2 children, afford a 4-bedroom apartment? So it goes beyond race in this, because segregation is a horrible thing, but they segregate children. They segregate people with disabilities by these alleged neutral policies. You have to be employed to work and to live in my apartment complex. Not all people with disabilities are employed. Not all veterans are employed. And yet they can still afford the apartment, but are denied because they're not employed. So this Supreme Court, in upholding, and I believe they will uphold, disparate impact under the Fair Housing Act, will recognize that people have a right to live without being discriminated against based on their race, their national origin, their religion, their sex, whether or not they have a disability, their color, whether or not they're families with children. It's very important that we continue to be able to use disparate impact, because I've not yet found a bank who has an email that I can discover that says, "How can we make fewer loans in this African American neighborhood?" Oh, let's increase the credit score requirements. Oh, how can I not make insurance available in this neighborhood? Let's write it down. We don't make replacement cost coverage available for homes built before 1950. And let's pick that number, because people of color will be disparately impacted. So it's not something, you can't show intent like they did when I started this work. And what we do find is that they do develop allegedly neutral policies that do exclude people who have the right and have the ability to rent apartments, to buy homes, and get homeowners insurance in this country. I think the banks will be very disappointed when the Supreme Court comes back and upholds disparate impact under the Fair Housing Act. But I think everybody who wants to buy a house, everybody who wants to buy a house in America will be pleased, because race under the Fair Housing Act covers all of us. And white people who want to live in an integrated neighborhood will be able to get those loans. And African Americans who want to be a pioneer and move into predominantly white neighborhoods will get those loans. And we'll be able to live in the society that Dr. Martin Luther King looked for. It was for all people, all of us, all the time. So I'm optimistic that the disparate impact argument will be able to be preserved in our law under the Federal Fair Housing Act. And now let me introduce Barbara Arnwine, President of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under the Law.
Thank you,
Barbara.
Shanna. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It is fitting that we are gathered today during the